Madam Speaker, don't change your dial. This is really me. It's 10 o'clock at night in the Ontario legislature, and I'm really here debating this. Oh my God, Madam Speaker, that's my daughter. All right, Natalie Bisson, my daughter, if you just called me, you just got me in trouble. Well, I want to say I was looking forward to having an opportunity to speak to this particular bill because I take it we're debating the Open Ontario bill, right? Ah, good. As whip, I know these things. And I got to say, you know, my friends across the way, I know that you're all saying, you know, we're just going to make things better in Ontario, and we're just going to open things up for foreign investment to happen here in Ontario, and we're going to make it easy for multinationals to come in and do business in Ontario. And I want to say you're doing a great job. You guys are doing an amazing job. You're giving the Extratas of this world the opportunity to do what they would not dream of doing under any other government. Extratas said, oh, we're going to close down a refinery and smelter in the city of Timmins. And normally they would not do these things lightly because they would worry that a government of Ontario would say, hold it, you're closing what? You're closing a prime ministry in Ontario? What can we do to help in order to keep the doors open? And Extrata said, well, you know, we picked our fights. We picked our fight well. We got Dalton McGuinty with Open Ontario and their idea that they don't want to get in the way of business, and we're just going to let them do it. You know, we're going to let Extrata say, well, you know, it's okay if you shut down a smelter and refinery in the city of Timmins and that you move all those jobs to the province of Quebec and you leave Ontario workers in this community of Timmins, Smooth Rock Falls, Matheson and Iroquois Falls high and dry when it comes to the employment and, more important, to the opportunities that Extrata presented to the businesses of the Northeast region. This government said, we're open for business. We want to let the multinationals do what they've got to do. And so they said to Extrata, please don't forget to turn off the lights when you leave Ontario. So I say to the government across the way is that if you're saying you want Open Ontario as a policy, you have a funny way of showing how Ontario is open. I would think that a government in Ontario would say, we are going to do what has to be done to work with workers, to work with communities, and to work with the private sector in order to determine what needs to be done in order to be able to make sure that we have a strong economy here in Ontario and that we have an ability to provide the robust economy that we have to have in this province to provide, yes, the private sector with the ability to make a profit, but also to give.
There's too much noise.
Throw them out.
Member for Timmins-James Bay.
Madam Speaker, you're saying, I know you weren't saying I was making too much noise. I think you were saying everybody in the House was making too much noise, just for the clear. Well, I know my good friend said that was just a call, but anyways. But I just want to say that the government says open for business, and all I'm saying is the job of this legislature and the job of the government of Ontario, simply put, is to say, what can we do in order to create the conditions that allow the private sector to make a profit in Ontario, that allows them to do it in a way that's sustainable to the environment, and does it in a way that is sustainable to the economies and gives workers and businesses the opportunity to be able to prosper in this province. What did the government do? No, I'm a social democrat. You Conservatives have never known. You Conservatives don't even understand what an economy is about. It's Social Democrats that understand this stuff. We understand there's a balance between the private sector and the workers in the communities. And you have to have that dynamic of what goes on between those three parties to make things work. And there's a fourth party, and that is government. And government could be used as a tool to be able to help the economy along. So I say to my friends across the way, the McGuinty Liberals, yes, they want to open Ontario, but you got to find a way of showing it. You've allowed a company named Extrata to say you can pick up shop in Ontario out of the city of Timmins, you can close your plant down, and you can leave and go produce in Quebec. And by the way, when you mine the copper in Ontario, take it with you. Add no value to it in the province of Ontario. Can you imagine Ralph Klein in British Columbia? Can you imagine Danny Williams in Newfoundland? Can you imagine any premier in this province who would say, I will allow foreign multinationals to come into Ontario or their provinces to take the natural resources from the ground and move them out of their province and add value to them outside of their own province? Shame on you, Open for Ontario for business. You're not opening Ontario, you're closing opportunity in Ontario down for people here in Ontario. If you travel south down Highway 144, my good friend, France Gélineau will know the town well, she lives there. The community's in around Sudbury. You've had how much now, 10 months? 11 months we've had a strike out at Inco, or now it's called Valley Inco. And what we have there is a company who's decided we're a multinational, come from afar. We come from Brazil, and we're going to come to Ontario, and we're going to tell workers, and we're going to tell communities, you know what, your pension's too rich, and we're going to take your pension that you worked hard to get over the periods of years, and we're going to take it away from you. We're going to say any new employee that's hired at Valley Inco is not going to have a defined pension plan as your fathers and your brothers did as they're hired there now. And what does this government do? That's what they did. The sound of the cricket. Absolutely nothing. And why should we allow a foreign multinational to come and set up shop here in Ontario and to say that we are going to change on its ear the social contract that exists with the workers in Sudbury, with Valley Inco, and the community and the workers of the city of Sudbury? And in addition to that, the government says it's okay, we're not going to intervene when Valley Inco says we're going to change the nickel bonus. Well, I want to say to my friends across the way, and I want to say to people in northeastern Ontario, and specifically I want to say to the people of Sudbury, who benefits when workers have a nickel bonus? Who benefits? Who gets the money from that nickel bonus? It's every small business in the community of Sudbury and in the region. Those workers, through the United Steelworkers, went and negotiated a nickel bonus at the table when times were weak, when the company wasn't making money. And the union said, listen, we understand you're having a tough time, and we want to help Inco at the time to survive and become a stronger company. So rather than negotiating wages, we're going to take what's called a nickel bonus. If the price of nickel goes up, we make money. If the price of nickel goes down, we make no money. And that way there, the profit was tied to the wages of the workers. What an innovative idea from the steelworkers. They didn't go say, give me 5%, give me 4% per year, give me 3% per year. They said, we get it. We're workers, we're steelworkers, we understand. We need to have a strong company that makes money. And that company, the steelworkers made happen an agreement that said, when the company makes money, the workers make money. So along comes Valley Inco, another multinational, and they walk into Sudbury and they say, we're going to turn that on its ear, and we're going to take away the benefit that the workers have negotiated that says when Inco makes money, the workers make money. And what does this McGuinty government do? Nothing. The sound of the crickets are going again. The government had an opportunity to get involved in this and say, don't come into Ontario and expect that you're going to turn this thing on its ear. You have a responsibility as a corporation in the city of Sudbury to make sure that you run a profitable organization, but that those profits are shared with the workers and they're shared with the community of Sudbury and area. Shame on the McGuinty government for their open Ontario policy that says we're going to allow the Valley Incos of this world to come in and say we are going to allow them to gut the collective agreement by taking away the defined pension plan that workers have fought for in the city of Sudbury for years. And the workers have fought for a nickel bonus and take it away. And I say again, you know what? The nickel bonus, I've heard some people in the city of Sudbury and others say, oh, those workers were getting too much money with the nickel bonus. But how many years did they go without increases because the company wasn't making money, number one? And number two, when the workers were making money on the nickel bonus, where did they spend that money? They spent it at the car dealership. They spent it at the Quizno. They spent it at the clothing store. They spent it at the building supplies store. They spent their money in the community so that the profits that came from the ground in Sudbury as a result of the mining at Inco were spent back into the community. What a novel idea. Perfect. What a novel idea. And this government says we're open for business? Oh yeah, let the multinational walk in and let them do what they want. And now the government says, oh, don't worry. Everybody should be happy in Northern Ontario. We got the Ring of Fire.
The Ring of what?
The Ring of Fire, and I'm not talking about what happens in Times. I'm talking about the Ring of Fire in my riding, which is in northeastern Ontario, north of Martin Falls, south of Pewanak and west of Attawapiskat and east of Sandy Lake. There's an area where there's a huge mineral potential.